Welcome to the Bear Rumble Podcast, your home for everything BHP football. Each week, we dive into the greatest games, preview what's coming next, and share the stories that make Belton Honeypath Bears football special. From legendary coaches to unforgettable moments, this is where Bear Nation comes together. This is the Bear Rumble Podcast.
Hey there, Bear fans. Welcome to another episode of the Bear Rumble Podcast. My name is Kayne Evans. I'm your host, and we have a great episode lined up for you this week. We'll be joined by Coach Shamad Lomax, the defensive back coach and track and field coach at BHP. We'll get to go over Coach Lomax's football background. We'll also learn about his philosophy in coaching these defensive backs. We'll even learn if Coach Lomax is a red chili or a green chili guy. After that interview, we'll review the game against Greer, and then we'll even preview this week's matchup against the Lawrence Raiders. But with that, let's go ahead and jump in with Coach Lomax now. All right, Bear fans, this week we got Coach Shamad Lomax with us. He is our defensive backs coach, also the head track and field coach, and had a wonderful year. We're going to touch on some of that this year, and I'd love to hear about some of that side of you too. But thanks for being with us, Shamad, and we're excited to hear from you about your defensive backs this year.
But yeah, I'm super excited, man. Thank you for having me on. What you do is great, man. It gives a lot of exposure to our kids. I love it. I watch every episode, so I'm just glad to be a part of this one.
Yeah, I wish I could look better on it. You guys carry me a lot of times. So, all right. Well, with that, Shamad, I want to get a little bit into your background before we jump too much into BHP. Let's start with the kind of that story, that football story. Grew up around Due West. So Belton Honeypath knows about Due West, and then moved out to Cooper's Cove, Texas. Played high school football out in Texas, and would love to get some information on that Texas high school football and that sort of thing. And then went on and played at New Mexico State with the Aggies out there in the heat. So, yeah, take us on that little journey, how you went from, especially on the football side, how that progression happened for you.
Yeah, so born and raised in Due West. So my dad say about 2 years old, I picked up a football and never kind of put it down since, So football was always a passion of mine. But, in Donalds in the Due West area, they didn't have like a rec league football program. So I had to end up going to Abbeville to play rec football. And that was kind of the foundation, of the competitive spirit, the toughness, the Abbeville Panther football down there. And I played all the way up to middle school. And my dad being in the military, I was very, very fortunate enough to move out to Fort Hood, Texas. To start my high school career. Fort Hood's a big, big military base, probably one of the biggest in the world. And we got down there and my dad was trying to figure out where I was going to go to high school at. He kind of did his research and we came across Copper's Cove, Texas, kind of like a powerhouse in the central Texas area. A lot of NFL talent that came through there. RG3 Heisman Trophy winner, all pro Charles Tillman came through there, and countless Division I athletes. So that was kind of the stomping ground for there. And I ended up playing 4 years there, got coached by a lot of great coaches in the Texas area, met a lot of great teammates who I still communicate with to this day. Then I was very fortunate enough after that to earn a scholarship to New Mexico State University. And then I went out there to the dry heat, very dry, I'm telling you, but probably the best of the best Mexican restaurants in town, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Went out there, played 4 years, had a great career there. And that was kind of my finish stop with the football playing wise in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Yeah, it's great to hear that background. So neat that you started here close to home, Abbeville. I know, especially over the last few decades, even going back further than that, football, both powerhouse and just a tradition they have there. I think growing that hopefully at BHP. Hopefully we can get a catch up with them on some rings pretty soon, but it's going to take us a while. But
yeah, we on the way, baby. We on the way.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I like to hear. So yeah, with that, you got those roots in South Carolina, but playing out there in that in Texas high school, I know that Cooper's Cove is kind of halfway from like Waco to Austin. In that kind of central Texas area. Talk to us about, it's foreign to us, but we see it on TV, we see it all that. Talk to us about that high school football in Texas, how big it is. What are some of the things that kind of surprised you out there?
Yeah, when my dad, he told us, like, "Hey, we're gonna be moving to Texas," first thing I went and watched was Friday Night Lights. I went and watched Odessa Permian. That's what I was like, "Man, this is what
There
it's
you go.
gonna be like." But you hear the cliche of, like, everything's bigger in Texas, and you think it's like, "Oh, man, it's just a cliche," until you actually get out there and you understand, like, "Whoa, this is crazy." So, like, high school football in Texas is, like, very small, like, FCS type stuff, like multi-million-dollar stadiums. You have indoor practice facilities at the high school level. I mean, like anything that you need football wise, Texas is that's the place to be, and then, like every Friday night you're playing in front of thousands of people. And it's just like the town shuts down Friday nights, man. It's just crazy, very crazy. It was like a culture shock to me coming from a small town. Then like
Mhm.
going to ninth grade, the freshman games are packed. I'm like, golly, this is crazy. But definitely a great experience for me. I've really, really cherished my time there. And, I learned a lot out of Texas high school football that I apply to my coaching today.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure almost a 4-year experience of being at a small college. What's some of those things now that you're back in South Carolina that you see maybe we do better or at least different than they do that, maybe gets overshadowed when you talk about those Texas football, Georgia football, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I really do. Like, I love it. Like, you go out to Texas, they have everything you need. They got the best facilities, the best equipment, best weight rooms. And you come to a small town in South Carolina, I call it like the blue collar work. Like you're really getting it out the mud. You got to make the best of what you got. And I really love that type of work, man. It's
Mhm.
crazy. And in the small town communities in South Carolina, everybody loves their football. Everybody knows everybody. And I think that's probably one of the best things, the special things to me is like I kind of call it the blue collar work. It's small towns. I love it, man. It's get down to the nitty gritty compared to Texas. Everything's big and in that aspect. So yeah, I gotta say the small town nitty and gritty, man.
That's a great point, yeah. You find out who actually wants to play football sometimes, and that's
Telling you, that's
absolutely
it. That's it.
yeah. Alright, let's talk a little bit about, at New Mexico State. I think we may on this side of the Mississippi River, we might not know a lot that goes on out in that, those conferences, but New Mexico State has a pretty illustrious history for the most part in, especially putting out some NFL players, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What was one of those, not welcome to the league kind of moments? What are those stepping up to a D1 program? What's something that you had to really flip in your mind once you step foot on campus that way?
And like I would definitely say cuz I kind of enrolled early. I kind of
Mm,
enrolled like probably like a month earlier than the rest of the incoming freshmen. So I really just got finished with like my track and field season. I mean, I thought I was in a tip top shape. Like I was like, okay, whatever. And I got down there, and the first thing we had to do was our conditioning test, and like that consisted of like 21 10s. I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like barely making the times, throwing up as I'm running. I'm like, this is day one. Like I don't know if I can do this for 4 years. And then like I kind of caught my groove in that aspect, and then we get down to the season. I guess you can say like the welcome to college moment was like my freshman year, 2016. We playing the UTEP Miners, and they had a great running back. He's in the NFL now. Aaron Jones plays for the Vikings.
mhm,
I'm a young freshman, so I get in late, probably like the third quarter. It's kind of a ball game in a sense, and I'm checking in, and like I have two receivers to my side. I'll never forget this story. Two receivers to my side, and then the quarterback checks to the sideline, and they motion away from me. And now just one receiver, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like they about to take
okay,
me up top on the first play. Like it's crazy.
right,
I can't even get my feet wet. But ended up the wide receiver cracked our linebacker, and I had the crack replaced. And it's just me and Aaron Jones in the hole. And stiff arm me for 80 yards for a touchdown. Probably can find it on YouTube. And I'm getting up off the ground trying to run after him. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this what college football is like? I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But after that, I kind of wore off the nerves and ended up playing a great game after that. But that's definitely like a welcome to college moment. Like that's it. Like I was like, okay, this is college football. It's crazy.
we won't go look for that video, but I'm sure everybody has those type of those type and especially when you have those players, we even see it on Friday nights. We can see when there's that one player that is head and shoulders
Yeah,
above the rest everybody else on the field. You can
most
see that
definitely.
sometimes. I'm sure that's how you felt with Aaron Jones that way. That's that's a really neat story. I love that.
Uh,
So let's talk one more question, kind of background, that sort of thing. along the way, I'm sure you've mentioned it, you've played under some great coaches, you played with some great teammates. Who are those players, those coaches, or teammates that's kind of left a mark on your coaching journey so far?
Yeah, you kinda hit it on the head, man. I was very fortunate enough to play a lot of football. Going from small town South Carolina to Texas to New Mexico. I mean, I met a lot of great coaches, had a lot of great coaches that impacted my life tremendously. A lot of great players, teammates that I call my brothers that I still talk to every day. Man, everybody really impacted my life in a way. But I'll probably have to say the biggest impact in my life was at 18 years old when I first stepped on the campus was our defensive coordinator, Frank Spaziani. Coach Spaz was like 70 years old. We called him the old wise guy. Like, he literally limped around everywhere, but he was probably one of the smartest football coaches I ever been around. I mean, I was 18 years old, a freshman, just going through fall camp, just trying to survive, just trying to make it. I thought I can just go out there and just be based off my pure athleticism, pure talent. And I quickly realized, like, dang, everybody's good. Like, everybody has the same athletic ability as me, even more. And he kind of pulled me to the side and he was like, "Low, man, hard work doesn't guarantee anything, but without it, you don't stand a chance." And at 18 years old, it really clicked then and there. And I think that quote's gonna stay with me for the rest of my life. And I kind of instilled that into in my coaching with my players and the athletes on a day-to-day basis, man. Just because, whatever you want to do in life, not even just in football, but in life in general, whatever you want to do, you really got to work hard at it. I try to tell them that, man, if we want to get back to where we were last year and finish it off, it's going to take hard work. And that starts in the classroom, it starts in the community. And I think that quote is going to stick with me for the rest of my life and it impacted my coaching to today. So I got to give a shout out to my defensive coordinator, Coach Frank Spaziani, on that
Coach
one.
Spaz, great. Yep. Those kind
Yeah.
of things we don't sometimes we can realize it in the moment. Sometimes it takes us a little time to get past it, but that and one of the things that's stood out to me, just seeing your coaching from the outside is
hmm
you're I don't not meaning this anyway. You're pretty close to these guys' age. I know you got some time on them. You sometime on, but you've
Telling you.
been through the process. You're the one closest to the process that they're going through
Yes, sir.
from high school, wanting to be recruited, wanting to go to a D1, and your level of ability to shepherd through those processes, knowing how much work it takes to start that whole process has been great
Yeah.
to watch from the outside and that sort of thing.
Yes, sir. I
We might get
appreciate
on to that. Might get back to that in a minute.
Yeah,
Let's
we can touch back to it.
yeah, let's talk about a little bit about coaching philosophy, especially
hmm
when it involves your track and field, bringing that kind of a mindset to the football field. Personally, the thing that has jumped off of the field, jump off the film to me is how BHP puts speed at nearly every position.
Man.
Defensive backs, linebackers, all the line, and then of course on the offensive side too. Talk to me a little bit about how does that and you can even talk about how some of these guys that play on in your group and on offense were on the track and field team who had some great success this last spring. But how does that speed translate to what BHP wants to do on the field?
Man, it translates well. Being the head track and field coach and being the football coach, I kind of see it firsthand. In today's game, like speed kills. So as a track and field coach, I kind of, I was doing workouts and I had it in the back of my mind, okay, how can I get these guys faster? How can I get them
There you go.
faster for when August comes? So I was kind of incorporating some like knee drive drills, top end speed, acceleration, things that I know they're going to need on the football field. And it's translated. I feel like so far it's translated great. I think about, I'm glad you said like key players on like offensive side. I'm just thinking about like our 4x1 team consisted of like Tajay, Noah Thomas, MJ Earl. And I'm just thinking like, man, those in the first two games, those guys have broke off explosive runs for like 50 plus yards already. So you can kind of see that top end speed there in the first, just in the first two games. And then you think like when people think about like track and field, they automatically think about the skill guys. But our
Mhm,
whole defensive line and some of our offensive linemen, they were out there throwing a shot, putting discus through, using their power and
mhm,
explosiveness as well, and that showed up
mhm,
on Friday nights. Man, our defensive line is probably one of the best in the state. I'll mark my word on that. And our offensive line is probably up there too, one of the best in the
mhm.
state. So it translates both ways, man. And it's just really great to see it translate out into the field. All the hard work they did all the way from January to the end of May, now it's translating on the football field. I just love to see it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things laymen like myself, we can see the speed when Tajay runs past somebody on a post or Jakari gets behind somebody on a slant. But on
Yeah.
defense, that speed shows up in ways that they make the play, but it's kind of plays that people don't see, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Big
Right there
time.
in somebody's hip pocket, and the throw doesn't get thrown,
Yeah.
or close it in on a tackle because you're so fast and it ends up to be a 1 yard gain instead of a 6 or something like
Legit.
that. And I think your guys have showed so much of that so far this year.
Oh yeah, and I'm glad you said that. Like on the defensive side of the ball, it seemed like a hole is there for a running back, and the next thing you know, Jakari and KJ and Tyler Bowles are flying in just with that closing speed aspect. Those home run plays you think is going to happen without closing speed, now it's just a short yard gain, you know. And I think on the defensive side of the ball, that speed it limits those explosive plays, and then on the offensive side of the ball, with our speed on that side, you got to really defend the whole football field, you know. And those guys can take the top off you at any given point. So it's really great to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even last week, Noah takes it 61 yards. And he was open up some gaps. He was
I'm
nobody was
telling
coming
you.
close to him once he got there. So I think that's something we can talk. I know he was one of your track and field guys.
Mhm.
Um, that aspect of just somebody, the stable of people who can run the ball back there. I know you're a
Man.
defensive guy, but uh, there's just so much fun to talk about on that.
Yeah.
But let's turn back to the defense, especially your guys. Give me an overview of your group this year. We all know Tajay Watson,
Mhm.
but give us an overview of the group as a whole. Maybe what they do well, what some of the new guys have added to the group, and just give us a little overview of those guys.
Yeah, man. So like you hit on the head with Tajay. He's one of the special ones, you know. I love coaching him because you know he can shut down the whole side of the field by himself. So it allows our defense to do a lot more stuff in the back end. And then another guy that really impressed me the most is probably Dejon Walker. Dejon was a guy that played JV his freshman and sophomore year, and then he took a year off and his junior year, and then he came back in the spring and senior year. And usually, typically, since I've been here, when you see a guy take a year off, he loses a step.
Yeah.
But he came back in the spring. It was probably more explosive and better than ever, and it kind of shocked me. And you know, he kind of helped our depth in the secondary at corner, and then he came in, earned the starting spot going into week one. So that's probably one of the most impressive kids to me. And then we senior led in the back end with Grady Melton and D Chester making that adjustment from corner to safety. Those guys are legit 6'1", 6'2"
Yeah.
back there that can cover some
Yeah.
ground. So those guys are really special, man. And I think that what makes this unit special is the camaraderie that these kids have. They
Right.
really, really, truly love each other. Like when I see one of them, I see three of them. Like it's no matter what in school, at the practice field, in the community, they always hanging around each other, joking and laughing. Really a great group. And then another thing I want to add is that they want it. They work hard. I know in
Yeah.
the summer, you know, we do some off-season training just to work on some technique and try to keep sharp in that aspect. And they're the ones that's calling and texting me, "Hey, coach, let's hit the field this weekend. Let's do that." So I think when you have a group that's actually united and love each other and they want it, that's a special group to coach. And I'm telling you, it makes my job 10 times easier when I get to
There you
coach
go.
some guys. I love coming in Monday through Thursday, just coaching them, cleaning them up, and then on Friday, man, we just have fun and let loose. And it kind of been showing the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned both Chester and Grady Melton.
Mhm.
Grady one really putting his name out there this season so far, both playing the pass. Like
Mhm.
he's made some great moves on where in the kind of soft part of those zones where those safeties have to make some big plays to get over there in those
Man,
soft points, but also coming up and playing the run so well.
yeah,
And we can blitz from that position. He's done that. And you're exactly right. I saw him play that cornerback some last year and earlier this season, but when he gets to that safety position where he can keep everything in front of him,
man.
he can be special. He can be able to recognize and run with pretty much anybody back there.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the special ones. Him and Grady Melton back there. I kind of punched myself in the gut a little bit because I was like, man, D should have been playing safety a long time ago. It's just like a natural position for him. And then with Grady Melton, he kind of transitioned from our Sam linebacker to that kind of that boundary free safety spot. And man, every tackle, every run that's going to the boundary side, Grady Melton's going to be in on it. I guarantee you that.
That's
Because we
great.
made that move this spring, and I was kind of nervous about it. I was like, I don't know if he can be able to cover ground back there, but Grady was another guy that impressed me throughout the spring and going into week one, breaking up a pass against Broome. I'm just like, okay, we're good now. I think we're the secondary set. We just got to keep everybody healthy, and keep working. I think it's going to be a special group.
Yeah, and like I said, from just 1,000 or 60,000 foot view, those safeties are pretty important for how BHP
Yeah.
plays defense. Like,
Legit.
of course, we can put Tajay out there on a island by himself, but especially in today's football too, those big crossing routes and there's just
Yeah.
so much those safeties are put on their plate, and it's great to see those guys stepping up and making a kind of taking those positions on, making a name for themselves at those positions. All right, let's talk a little bit more about those defensive backs. I told Dalton this last week. I I weighed out of being able to be a defensive back pretty early in my football career, so I never was taught any kind of technique or anything like that with D-backs. But what's some of those nuances of coaching defensive backs? Because in the backyard, it's see ball, get ball, cover guy. But I know on Friday nights and Saturdays and all that sort of thing, there's so many more nuances of foot placement, hand placement, eye discipline, all that sort of thing. What's some of the things that you really harp on with your guys?
Man, like I'm glad you hit it on the head because I'm tired of hearing, man, just cover the guy. Like it's not as easy as people may think. Besides quarterback, I think honestly and truthfully, I think DB is probably the hardest position in football. Like you just got to think about it. You're covering somebody that's running at you full speed, and you got to do it backwards. Like you got to think about that. So it takes a lot more. It's a lot more technique than people may think, and it's a lot more technical than what you can get in like a regular Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice. So you really have to train afterwards. You got to train in the off season during that. They harp on those small technical details, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. Like you say, the eye discipline at a high school level is definitely the biggest thing. You got to get those eyes out the backfield sometimes, especially in playing man to man. I mean, and those nuances that in the DB room that we kind of live by is, some key elements is number one, you got to be like a quarterback of the defense. You got to really understand football. You got to understand formation adjustments. You got to understand motion checks. You got to understand down and distance to help yourself out. And you got to understand wide receiver splits. It's a lot more than just going out there and saying, hey, cover this guy. And then, we pride ourselves on being a tough defense. And like you kind of think, you try to, when people think of tough defense, they don't think about defensive backs. They kind of, they just want to cover. But if you want to play football at BHP, on defense, you got to be a tough guy. So you got to be able to tackle an open field, and you got to be able to get off blocks. I know that's kind of our rule at BHP. You ain't playing defense if you can't get off blocks, so you can't make tackles. And then like another thing is, you got to create turnovers. Like you say, see ball, get ball. Like you got to, if you win the turnover margin, most likely you're going to win the game. So we kind of incorporate tackling and turnover kind of every other day in practice, is trying to simulate that. And then like my biggest two that I feel are very important for a defensive back, probably just defense in general, is really just having a short-term memory, because like playing defensive back, like it's going to be a time where you get beat. It happens to the greats, happens to the Darrell Reeveses, the Deion Sanders, the Shamad Lomaxes in the world. It's going to happen. Trust me. So you got to have that short-term memory and can't let that affect the rest of the game. Coach Black does a great job of harping on that. It's always about the next play, the next play. No matter if it's good, bad, or ugly, you got to be focused on the next play. And then the last thing is probably just the confidence. Like you see our defense, we play a lot of man, and we're going to send pressure. So if you're on the island and you don't have the confidence, it's probably not going to go good for you. So I try to instill that in those kids, in Tajay, D-Walt, and just let them know that every time they step out on the field, they got to believe that they're the best person out there, no matter who they're going against. I say, you can be going against Randy Moss right now. You got to believe you're going to lock him down. You got to have that confidence. So I can kind of see that turning in their head, because every time they come to the sideline, they want to run some man. That's it. They want to run man. Coach, I want to lock them down. That's the confidence that you need as a DB. So I really love to see that. And I think those are the key nuances to help us be successful in the back end at BHP.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those points of being tough. I was working through the Bear Tracks post for this week. The word that described the defensive performance last week was physicality. My word, some of the how you guys handled or met that quarterback for Greer bordered on criminal. How bad when he took a step to take a run, it was all conversion and
Man,
fast with bad intentions. I'm telling you, and it's permeating on all levels. Like you see those when they're screen passes, those you're
yeah.
destroying that initial block. Then the next person, and it just all piles on. And it's this defense has really got that edge. It feels like,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's just another one more year of giving these. They were young, they were young a couple years ago, but giving Tajay another year, giving
Yeah.
the Dixons another year, Kamarion Glenn, Jakari Anderson, all those guys, just one more year of confidence building, of
Yeah.
physicality, of building those. It's just great to see. So
Yeah, and you hit it on the head, like like when the quarterback from Greer was just step. I think we had probably 10 plus hurries, like whenever he
10
went back.
hurries, yeah.
Yeah, well, he had about 10 hurries whenever he wanted to drop back and throw the ball. And after the game, I said, you got to thank those guys up front, man, because they make our job in the back end a lot easier. If you got like the Dixons, Kamarion Glenn, Ty Rainey, Kanaze Bryant, if you got those guys up front that can create pressure, man, it makes our job in the back end a lot easier. So whenever they do that, I tell our DBs to show them boys some love because they don't really get the love up front, man. Offensive
Yeah,
line, defensive line, they really don't get it, you know. So I try to tell them they making your job a lot easier. You need to show them boys some love, man. So I'm telling that physicality up front, man, it's just something special, truly special to see.
yeah, yeah. You're right. Well, think about coaching at BHP. The first thing, let's
Mhm.
talk about you. You were suggested by you were in demand to come on to the podcast. Got a few people requesting Coach Lomax episodes. So one of the ones
Man,
was Dalton McClain last week. He said you got to get Shamad on. Tell me about those times your guys, your D-backs are going up against his wide receivers. Most of the time, y'all are having to share players, but when it comes down to it, what's it like coaching your group versus his group?
man, I'm gonna tell you, it's a fun, competitive environment. I'll tell you that right now. Coach McClain, that's my guy. That's my day one. Like, as soon as joined the coaching staff, he was probably one of the first ones that came and greet himself to me, and we've been locked in ever since. But I tell you, when we get on that gridiron on that 120, he's not my friend out there. You know, we compete like a mug out there, man, and it's fun to see. Like, we go one on ones. I'm out there talking junk. He's talking junk. And then you see the players start getting amped up, and then it starts going both ways, and it's just fun, competitive spirit. And I really do enjoy it, man. We go at each other almost every day out there, but at the end of the day, we know that we are all brothers, and we keep each other safe out there. But it's just a fun, competitive spirit. That's my guy, though. Yeah, we gonna go at it almost every day if we get a chance to.
What's it like having some of your best players, not only just Tajay, but we're talking Jacobs Paul has played safety for you, and but having to not share, but I think Coach Blackson's really grown into that
Hmm.
philosophy of having your best players playing as much as you possibly can. We've seen that over the last couple of years. Talk to me a little bit about coaching your players, especially when you're expecting them to play 10, 15, ever how many snaps on offense that you may not have them on defense. What's that like coaching them on a defensive backside?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, like our best guys, like they got to be dudes. They got to play both ways.
Mm-hmm.
The Tajays, the Jakaris, the Jacobs Pauls, like those, you got to be a dude to go out there and play both ways. And I really do enjoy it. And I just think like whatever it takes for BHP to win, that's what we're gonna do. Like you probably seen against Greer, Tajay was covering the number one guy, and then he go out there and run a post route, and then he needs a breather. Then Jacobs Pauls comes in, and D has to go down this corner. So whatever it takes to win, I'm willing to do it. And I think everybody on the coaching staff feels the same way. You know, me and Coach McClain, like we coach kind of the similar guys, both because both of our guys gonna be playing receiver, gonna be playing DB. So we kind of be in the loop of things like of that, and we're both in
Mm-hmm.
agreement, man. Whatever it takes to win, that's what we're gonna do. So it's really fun to see because I love watching our guys go over the offense and the offensive guys come over the defense. It makes fun. It makes coaching more fun, you know, just getting different guys and really just seeing how they can operate in that system in that type of environment. I really do love it. So it's really
Yeah,
been a blessing to see.
I'm sure it sparks just more energy or from those players where they're not just defensive back, where they have a person, all defensive backs want to be receivers. They all want to catch the touchdowns.
That's it.
All
That's it,
receivers think they can guard anybody that they put out there. So
man.
we know that. So I'm
Yes,
sure it
sir.
just gives a extra added benefit of those guys being able to touch the ball and contribute on both sides.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, like you said, you've been with BHP for this your 5th season.
Mhm.
What's one of those memories that you have for coaching at BHP? Was it a game? Was it something that's really stuck with you as you've been coaching these last few years?
Man, like you say, it's year 5 for me, and it's flew by. Like, it just feels like I was just a 22-year-old young coach just to get my first coaching job, going against Westside, the first game of the year and back in 2021.
Mhm.
But it's been great. Like, it's a lot of experiences. People just automatically think of like all the wins, the big wins, upper state championships, that type of stuff. That's great. But I really think the biggest thing that really stuck with me and been a great core memory for me is really just building the relationship with those players. I think you hit it on the head early. Like, I'm not much older than them. I'm the youngest guy on the staff. So I kind of see these guys as my younger brother, me being the only child. So I got like 12 younger brothers on the team, and it's really been great to see. And like going back to my first year back in like 2021, I had a DB, Rozelle Scott, was a dog in the back and one of the first that I ever got to coach. He ended up graduating. He still texts and calls me almost every other week, just trying to check up on me, and that's probably like the biggest thing that's going to be a core memory for me, knowing that these guys, I'm not just a coach for 4 years. I'm their coach for life. They can call me whenever they want to. Any advice they need, they know I'm happy to give it. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. Obviously you
Mhm.
want to win games, but being able to have that foundation and relationship with your players, even after they graduate, that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I know I've heard it. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. Coach Blackson said, "Once a bear, always a bear." I think we definitely
Yeah.
feel that. I've said it on every podcast that I've had a coach on, Andrew, Dalton, now you. Every Friday night, I can see you guys when those guys come back.
Yeah.
You search them out. They're not having to come to you. You guys search them out, and it can
Man.
really show how much both you've taken an interest and enjoyment seeing them guys, but also just
Hmm.
knowing that they're always welcome. You're always there for them, and it's it's see it's seeable from the stands. So it's not something that you got to be in the program to understand and know. Everybody can see this, how you guys treat those former players.
Man, and it's truly special. Like, I'm up top, so like after
Yeah,
halftime or like right before the game, I'm walking through the crowd, and I probably get
yeah,
like 5, "Hey, Coach Lomax" from former players, and that's a great feeling to have. Like, they still remember you, and they still want to communicate and connect with you, and still have that relationship. That's probably one of the great feelings. And then like even last year, like after we won like the third round against Pattersville, we go back in the locker room, and it's like 5 more former players in there
yeah,
ready to celebrate and have fun. It's just like, man, that's truly something special. Like Coach Black hit it on the head. Like, all once a bear, always a bear. And that's forever. And I think
yeah,
that's one of the special things about it.
yeah. Absolutely. I got one more, and then we'll hit a quick lightning round for you.
Yep.
Give me one of those actual Friday night moments that still give you chills. And I know last year Upper State Championship, it was cold. You can't talk about the cold, but just give me one of those moments that happened on a Friday night. Doesn't have to be a win or anything like that. Just some moment within a game that still gives you chills when you think about.
Man, my first mind, like it just automatically went back. I think it was 2023. We played Clinton in the
Yeah,
third round. I gotta go to the Jakari Anderson pick
Jakari.
six, man. Gotta go to
Yep.
that one. That was probably the one of the best like moments ever because I was up top and like he caught it and I'm running with him. I'm about to run over the ledge. I'm like, oh my goodness. So that was probably one of the coolest moments that still gives me chills. I think people still gonna talk about that for years and years to come because before that, it was the ball game. They were looking to drive and cut the lead
Absolutely.
down. And I was like, oh my goodness, just nervous. And I got to give credit to Coach Jennings right there. I'll never forget it. We called a timeout and he called up a play, a little a bluff blitz that worked to
Hmm.
perfection. And it
Hmm.
was pick six later. That's probably one of the coolest and moments that gave me the chills. I want
Yeah.
to give credit to a DB because I'm a DB coach. I'm kind of biased, but I gotta give credit to that one. That's one of the special ones right there, man. That to seal the game and go play for an upper state championship against Daniel. That's kind of, that's a special one.
Yeah. Yeah. I told Dalton in our podcast last week, I think that's when he saw Jakari need to play wide receiver. That was his first shot.
Man,
But
It's crazy
I
you
was
said that because he always jokes and be like, "Man, Lo, I can play receiver." I'm like, "Bro, you cannot catch." Like, and then after that, I'm like, "Oh, okay," because he caught it naturally and nobody was catching him. I said, "Okay, okay, I can see it a little bit now. I can see it a little bit."
I did want to bring up one moment that, in my mind, was about the first moment. I know Quez Henderson just graduated, uh, great all-time Bear, one of the greatest all-time Bears ever. But one of the times I saw that he was truly better than everybody that's on the field. I think it may have been your first year. I think 2021. We
About to
go
say,
to Ren, right? And we're down. He
man,
intercepts the ball with like 20 seconds left in the game, returns it back to
my
score
good,
and to allow BHP to go for two to try to win. That the 2 point conversion didn't come up, but
yeah.
that play as a that's one of the greatest defensive back plays that I've ever seen in a for a BHP player.
Man, I still remember that one because Roselle Scott, he was our starting corner at the time, but he had went down. I think he had hurt his quad or whatever, and we had to throw Quiz, and we knew he was a special type of talent as a young kid, as a freshman, and he literally got in. I was on the sideline, then he's like, "Lo, what do I do?" I say, "You just got man, just cover that guy, just cover him." And then end up, and he didn't even throw it to his guy. I don't even know where I still don't know where he came from. The quarterback tried to throw an out route, gets tips, and here comes number 18. He was number 18 as a
He
freshman,
was 18 then,
catches
yeah.
it, hurdles somebody, and takes it about 70 yards to the end zone. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, those two were up there. The Jakari Anderson pick six, and then the Marquez Henderson pick six for sure. Those are up there.
Were you up top in that old rickety building on the Ren side, or were you on the field that
No,
game?
I was on the field my freshman,
Okay.
his freshman, my first year
Be
coaching. I was
glad
on the
that
yeah.
little hut they have on top of the stands can start swaying and moving when the Bears
I'm
come out and
telling
do
you,
something like that.
I'm telling you.
All right, let's go fast. This is lightning round. We've done this with other coaches. I got 5 questions. Don't think too hard about it, but just want to get some insight on what you're thinking. So, like I
I
said,
got you.
you've played football out in Texas, played at New Mexico State. I'm sure played at some great stadiums. What's the best stadium you've ever played at as a player?
Hands down, College Station, Texas A&M.
There you
My
go.
freshman year,
110.
2016. Man, it was. I'm talking about 110, and it was rocking. It was crazy. It was a night game. They were ranked number 4 in the country at the time, and I'm walking out, running out the tunnel. I'm like, oh my goodness, this place is rocking. You couldn't even hear. I couldn't even hear the safety making checks right next to me. It was crazy, but that's definitely one of the funnest stadiums I ever played in.
My word. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Ooh. Yep. All right. So I got the answer maybe earlier, but what's the toughest player you ever had to line up against and guard?
Golly. Oh my goodness. Imma definitely have to say my senior year in college, probably going against Devontae Smith. Like, they call him the Slim Reaper for a reason. Like, that guy was truly special. Like, he would literally it's not even it's he's running full speed, but it doesn't look like he's gliding. Then one cut later, he's making a cut on you, running a dig or a comeback. And I'm just like, golly. End up being a first round talent. And I'm just like, and they still had Henry Ruggs at the time. They still had Jerry Judy. Tua was throwing the ball. I'm just like, it felt like the freeway out there. I'm not gonna lie. They were flying. They were moving. That was a different type. But definitely Devontae Smith. I got to give credit to him for that one.
Yeah. It made it look way too easy against against guys who are going to play in the NFL. All right. What's your go-to hype song before the game?
I gotta go set it off by Boosie. I gotta go anything Lil Boosie. That's gonna get me. That's gonna get me in my groove, man. I've been a Boosie fan ever since I was in high school. That's all I listen to. So
There
it's
you
time
go.
to go for a game, even if I'm playing a coach and I'm playing some type of Boosie. Set it off or wipe me down. One of the two.
There you go. You're just about what 4 or 5 hours from New Orleans when you're in Texas. So there
Yeah,
you go.
I'm telling.
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear any of that Houston chopped and screwed anything for you. So all right.
I couldn't get with Houston music, man.
It's
My
too
roommate
slow,
was from
huh?
Houston. Yeah, I was like, dude, you gotta turn this off. I can't get with it.
I got you. All right. New Mexico, you mentioned the Mexican food. Are you a red chili or a green chili guy?
I'm a green chili guy. 1000%. So if you ever go to Las Cruces, New Mexico, you go to the Andales Doghouse. You tell them Coach Lomax, well, they don't know me as Coach Lomax. They know me as Shamad Lomax. I'm telling you, I was a regular there. I'm talking about the best Mexican food I ever tasted in my life. Definitely top one. I'm sorry, El Paso. I'm sorry, El Titanic, but a green chicken enchilada from Underlay's Doghouse is my number one. It's undefeated.
Man, it's too late for me to be thinking about Mexican, but man, that sounds good. All right, this is the last one. This is one we end on with all of our coaches. Give me one word that describes your group, your defensive back group for the Bears this year.
Man, I'm gonna say gritty. I'm gonna say gritty. Those kids are tough. They want to be physical. They want to be coached. They want to work hard. They gonna get it by any means necessary. I gotta go with gritty. That's what those kids are, man. And I love to be a part of it. Like on the defensive side, we call it the trenches. We trench baby, so we gritty over here.
There you go. I hear you. And yeah, with that, I want to. It's such a testament to you guys coaching that way. I know a lot of coaches would turn those defensive backs or wide receivers, let them play into that kind of
Yeah,
misconception of being divas or anything like that. But you guys, that's not allowed around here. It doesn't seem like so, and really a testament and a mirror of the communities that they represent. No prima
sir.
donnas coming out of Honey Path.
Tell no, sir.
All right, Shamad, thanks so much. I want to thank you so much for being here. We are so excited for your group. It has given so many just highlight plays for us to remember. But I think the foundation that you're building with the whole defensive coaching staff, but the defensive backs have really been a standout group in the last few years, and I know your fingerprints are all over that, and we're proud to say that you're a Bear coach for us. So thank you so much
Yes,
for your
sir.
work you're doing on the field. Thanks for being with us tonight. And before you go, I need to get you give us a how about them Bears?
Yes, sir. How about them Bears, baby? Let's do it.
I
I appreciate you having me on, man. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, and we'll see you Friday night. And go Bears!
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about the game against Greer. Friday night delivered a completely different kind of showcase for the Bears as they returned back to Bear territory and hosted the Greer Yellow Jackets under a spectacular display of skydivers and the new stadium lights. The previous week against Broome, the Bears were all fireworks, scoring 4 touchdowns in 8 plays, some long plays, quick strikes, some really highlight reels. This Friday against Greer, BHP was way more deliberate, but just as imposing. Maybe it was slower to score, but the brick by brick performance really showed patience and persistence, but also a domination by both the offensive line and the running backs, and especially Noah Thomas. Noah was the leader on offense. He combined for over 250 total yards, had over 100 yards rushing and over 150 yards passing, and he accounted for 4 offensive touchdowns, 2 rushing and 2 passing Friday night. Really great leadership out of Noah. We finally got to see that top end speed, that track speed from Noah when he took off and scored on a 60-yard rush where he just ran away from people against Greer. Along with Noah in the backfield, MJ Earl was sidelined with an injury, so we got to see some of that depth at the running back position. BJ Anderson, Malachi Hester, Tyzer Ware, and Cam Robinson all got a good playing time against the Yellow Jackets, all produced, all had over 6 carries in the game, all had over 30 yards, and combined with Noah, BHP put up over 300 rushing yards. A lot of that was really a testament to that interior line. Keegan Mosier and Keelan Dixon, those 2 guards really paving the way. There were a lot of times that these running backs weren't even being touched until that second level. So the physicality that this offense showed Friday night should really worry some of upcoming BHP opponents. Then through the air, Noah's top target was Tajay Watson-Martin with 6 catches for 85 yards. Tajay made some great catches along the sidelines, one to move the chains on some third downs, and then his touchdown reception was a screen pass that Tajay took nearly 40 yards and scored for the Bears. I do start with the offense. But the story of this game was the defensive performance. And we mentioned this with Coach Lomax, but the word that described this defensive performance was punishing. This defense's physicality this Friday night was unmatched. One, I jokingly say, teetered on assault sometimes, because the speed and the relentlessness and the group as a whole converging on both the running backs and especially the quarterback for Greer. Anytime his eyes went from looking for a receiver down to trying to escape the pocket, the Bears linemen and linebackers and even safeties converged on him with speed and physicality that I have not seen in a game for some time for BHP. This physicality, I know it's a new kind of buzzword, but this team is showing something that is going to be a calling card for this defense. With that, these Bears accounted for 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 10 hurries against the Greer Yellow Jackets. So just a relentless pursuit of that Greer offense. And then by the end of the night, Greer did score some late touchdowns. Kind of once the starters had been pulled for the Bears, they did outscore BHP 19-7 in that fourth quarter, but the game was quite in hand. The ending score was 42-19 against the Greer Yellow Jackets, which put the Bears 2-0 on the season. And with that, they will defend that undefeated record. They will be heading to Lawrence to take on the Lawrence Raiders. Lawrence enters this matchup 0-2 on the season, losing to Hillcrest in week 1. And then last week, losing to the Clinton Red Devils 50-0 in an inter-county rivalry. Those two teams really get after it and have some deep history between those two. As I said, Lawrence is 0-2 on the season, but they are coming off a 1-9 campaign last year. Last year was their head coach, Greg Porter, who came over from Greenville High School, first year with the Raiders. They'll be looking to rebuild that program. And one of their new building blocks that they are rebuilding this program on is their freshman quarterback, Logan Bragg. Seeing some highlights and some tape on Logan, he will be special. He has the ability to throw on the run. He is very accurate when he gets outside the pocket. He looks like a strong quarterback, where when he does run, he's kind of low to the ground and can have some punishing runs, but he's also very quick to get the ball out of his hand. All 3 of those aspects can really give defenses some trouble and will be something to watch for the Bears. Then his top running back, Denary Lee Jackson, and he will be the focus point in the running game for the Raiders. And then out wide, Logan Bragg will be passing to DeMarge Crooks and Jaden Williams. Both of these can be definite playmakers for the Lawrence Raiders. Even with that, we mentioned that Lawrence is 0-2 coming into the matchup. Honestly, this week viewpoint is the Bears have to live up to their standard. They cannot play down to the Lawrence, the level of Lawrence's play and talent. BHP has to kind of look at this as that nameless, faceless opponent, where they have to be perfect in what they do, both offensively and defensively. Those kind of things can really be tough for football teams. We're all human, and especially with kids 15, 16, 17, 18, looking ahead can definitely be an issue. But this week, they have to put that out of their mind, especially with the big game coming up the week after. They have to put that out of their mind and take care of business against Lawrence on the road. But with that, if BHP is able to stay true to who they are, fast, physical, relentless, we should be able to see these Bears come out of Lawrence County and back to the high school with that 3rd win of the season. With that, we want to see all Bear fans there at District 55 Stadium in Lawrence, at Lawrence High School. We want to see that modest away stands overflowing with navy and red. We want to hear you loud and proud pulling for the Bears this Friday night. And we're excited to see just another opportunity to see what this team is made out of, what makes this team special, because personally this team, I do feel this is a very special team for the Bears. So with that, we want to see you there Friday night. If you can't make it, feel free to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. On X and Twitter, we'll be live tweeting the game. So any highlights, special plays, stats, scores, we'll have that there. Then after the game on Facebook, we'll denote the score and the team and individual stat leaders. We'll have that for you there. And then on thembears.com, we'll have the full stat line for you Friday night. So follow us there. We're here to get this team and these coaches, these players, the notoriety they deserve. And the way you can do that, the way you can support the team is to subscribe and tell others about the podcast that we have supporting those guys. That's going to wrap up this week's episode. Big thanks to Coach Lomax for joining us and for Bear Nation for listening. We ask that you subscribe and tell others about the podcast and follow us on thembears.com. We'll be back next week breaking down the Lawrence game, previewing the Westside game, and who knows who might join us then. So until then, thanks for listening to the Bear Rumble podcast, and how about them Bears?